Afternoon, guys. Today, just thought I would change up the scenery a little bit. Sat in my office. Yeah, and I thought, being in the office, probably cover, exactly what it is that I do as the business, and what it is that I'm looking to do in the future. Maybe what a couple of ideas might be. Anyway, just a short sort of video to kind of get into things, and perhaps we'll do a bit more detailed one a little later. But yeah, so the business I'm in at the moment, this is the first one that I've started that's become relatively established. It's a franchised business, so quite an interesting one to get into. I went franchising. It's usually one of the first questions I'm asked. I went with a franchise business and a model, purely from a learning perspective. I right from the offset never thought I'd only have one company. I always wanted to have multiple companies. Exit strategies would sort of be around, either keeping that growth mindset with the business, building it out, or eventually for sale. It's quite easy to do with a franchise, with the agreements and the connections they have. You've got multiple options of the sale and exit of your business. So not having much sort of ground knowledge in actually owning a business before I got established here, I decided to go with a franchise model and sort of take the royalty hit, as it were, as a learning fee. I did go to university. I studied business. I first studied sports science, to be fair, and then I shifted over into business. But I went on to pursue sort of various other careers, including international recruitment, IT recruitment, so very strong recruiting background, and then got into sales negotiations as well, which I think sort of set me up quite well for the business world, having that exposure into both the staffing side and sort of financial negotiation tactics that you can have, and having that connections with those two sort of fairly important pillars in business. I thought, right, try my hand at having a company myself. I had a lot of family that were in the care sector. Never wanted to have them work for me, as it were, but I had a fairly good understanding of the needs in my local area, and I was like, well, you know what, I think that there's definitely a place where we can improve, get a unique selling point set up as well, where we're highly quality focused, not concerned with sort of trying to be the biggest, baddest company around, so to speak, but genuinely looking to do some good in the community, which is primarily where I come from for this business. I really wanted to do a good thing for my local community here and rehabilitate some of the elderly that perhaps weren't doing too well, especially where we came into the market right at the end of COVID. I thought people have been locked away far too long, so to speak. So we got things going off to a really good start. Always had the strategy of coming into it and getting a local authority work, where that contract was implied. I managed to use my hiring skills to get a excellent manager on board, and still with me. Really good team's been set up in the place, and they can sort of function quite autonomously as well, which is always a goal to set up when you're starting a business. You want it to be running itself, not you running it on a day-to-day basis anyway. So it leaves me down to sort of just the networking side of things, really, and sort of planning and strategizing where we move to next, which is quite good. So yeah, I guess, you know, we've kind of kept to our values as well, which I think is quite important when you set up a new company. Your core team needs to understand where you're coming from and what the purpose of the business really is, what values you hold sort of closest, and you know, continuously drive forward for those. And I think we've done a pretty good job at holding true to those values. You know, we currently roughly around 50 or so clients at the moment, you know, mid-20s in terms of staffing, so not a massive company by any shape, but not the smallest either. And you know, considering that it has only been around now, live and trading since March 22, you know, I think the team's done a really good job at building it out. And we've got an interesting bit of time ahead as well in the company. We had a 5-year franchise deal, so you know, once we get down the line with these videos, I'm sure I can go into more details about how franchising will work, whether that model is right for you or whatnot. But when I was researching, there was a whole range of different lengths of contractual agreements for the franchising. And this one in particular, the company that I'm with now, they offered a 5-year term, which for me it was perfect. It gives me enough time to, shall we say, have that education in business, understand, you know, exactly what is needed to make a company like this run correctly, from people that have, you know, got a proven model. And yeah, and then I can have that option of either sort of exiting the franchise and going it alone, potentially selling off the business, whether that's to another franchisee or a new buyer or anything like that. So obviously with the franchising model being at that sort of 5-year point coming up soon, it's definitely going to be a big sort of decision to make on which one of the options that I go with, really. It's their policies have been now updated. It's going to be a 10-year term. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting discussion to have, and one that I welcome, because obviously that's all part of it. You know, where we've built the brand out now, lots of people do sort of recognize us in the community as a quality care provider. You know, it's something that you really do need to put that thought and strategy into. So yeah, I suppose the business on a whole, what we do is we go out into the community. We have the private clients, they're in their own home. We go in there, we do an initial assessment of who they are, how they are, make sure that, you know, we're taking all aspects of their life into consideration when we're putting together a care plan. You know, what they really want to be able to do as well, what are their goals for having us come in, and you know, we take it from there, really. We do full care everywhere, from, you know, just popping in to have a chat, which, you know, I think is underlooked sometimes, especially toward the end of COVID. You can see the value in that, where people have been alone for such a long time. Just having someone on a regular basis coming in and having a conversation with them really sort of helped boost their moods and overall sort of being, really. But then we you know, we go all the way through to live-in care, palliative care, which is can be challenging at times, especially when you lose clients that have been with you for a fair bit of time. So yeah, that's the business model. Obviously, as a business model in itself, an incredibly good one. The community care, domiciliary care business is a very good, strong model to sort of build a business with. It's a service-based business with repeat clients. So generally speaking, it's almost like a day nursery, if you will, for children. You know, same kind of concept. You go out there, you win a client, they come on board, they tend to get bought into you, your whole structure, your team. Generally speaking, they're not really going to move away from you, even if you have price increases and all the rest of it, you know, along with the times. It's a model where the only time really that your client is going to be leaving you is either where they've become to a point where they now need to be in a home, which obviously is an expansion point for yourself if you wanted to build out the business even further, or they sadly pass away. So those are the ways that your clients tend to leave. But generally speaking, once they come on board, you tend to have a client for a fair bit of time, anywhere from 6 months to years, you know, which obviously helps foster a really good, strong underlying cash flow. You're not constantly starting each day from new, each month. And I think that then also, as a asset in a sense that you're building, it's then very easy to market that to a potential buyer to say, look, this is the business cash flow, this is how stable it is, this is our growth, this is the team, runs autonomously, and you can kind of go off like that. And that was the idea anyway. When we kind of got started, obviously there has been pitfalls, many of them. You know, 6 months into actually running operations in the business, our local authority work, which I had as a strategy from day one, get that on board, great, you know, we're going to have a base level of income to the business, and an easy growth curve. They stopped handing out any contracts for a little while. There was a big market shift nobody saw coming, or at least I didn't see it coming, and neither did my franchise. So that was a bit of a kick in the teeth, really. But, you know, it was always primarily aimed at having a private business, so, you know, you just kind of truck on and keep on building. And luckily, those first initial 6 months, we had built up a good stable base with the authority work, which I mean, to this day we still have clients from there, so they never took our clients away from us per se, but we just never got new ones. And now their new policies and whatnot are just not really economical for us to continue to sort of pursue that track. So, you know, it's an interesting sort of thing, business, really. How things like that can get thrown at you and how quickly you have to pivot and go for it. So that is my main business, I suppose, as a whole. You know, I'll do a deep dive at some point, going through, you know, what are the biggest mistakes I've made, sort of setting it up. Where do I think I could have done better? What skills should I have developed more before potentially getting into it? But at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in sort of just doing something, learning as you go. Yes, that might be more expensive, but it's better than not doing anything at all ever. So, you know, there is that. The second business I am now getting into, it's really ground level, that I sort of spoke about initially in the first video, is a real estate business with kind of a spin. I'd like to kind of bring over a concept into estate agency, where it's not really here in my local market. So we have sort of freelance workers for the business. We kind of deal with all the back end, so they bring in the listings and we'll just list them for them and whatnot, and they do all the viewings, we'll do all the paperwork. So we'll be kind of like a hub for freelance estate agents around us, but they can have all under a sort of single brand, if you will. The brand is Red Cherry Homes, and you know, it's a cool brand, I thought. Nice, fun, pops, stick in your head. But we are really focusing niche first as well. We really kind of tied into one area that we're gonna target and see if we can get the listings for it. Quite a competitive area. There is some, you know, we've identified the market leaders in the area and whatnot, and they've been well established and are really good at what they do. So it'll be an interesting challenge, I think, to take potentially you guys on that journey to see, you know, whether it works, whether it doesn't, why it didn't or why it did. And you know, I'm always looking for input as well in terms of what you think would be good pieces to sort of add to that business that might, you know, improve it, improve my skills on it as well. But actually, I mean, to be fair, I'd like to do a video on goal setting targets for that business, you know, see if we can hit those KPIs that we lay out for it. I haven't actually hired any staff members for it just yet, so it's just myself and my wife that are currently running the show there. Like I said, it's really early days. This is just another sort of quick-ish video to give you guys a little bit more insight, like I said I would, into what my business is and the new one that we are building is going to be about. So yeah, I mean, end of my day really now, and as always, I like to go and sort of finish it off with a good gym session, sort of de-stress, decompress, and yeah, then it's back home for that evening routine. Get to see my little kiddos. They tend to sort of run up and be like, "Hey daddy," when I get home, which is always cool to see. And it then descends into chaos, but like a good chaos, I guess. Coping. But no, in all honesty, the age that they're all at now, where the girls are 18 months old and, you know, my boy's 3, it's a whole different challenge, but one that is well worth it and extremely rewarding. You know, I actually nipped out at lunch today and went and spent a couple hours with them, and you know, it's sort of just two different worlds, both the business and sort of family life, and balancing it all is a challenge, especially when it's your own company, and you know, you could always have the time to go home, but then your business will suffer in the long run. So it's just judging, okay, is now a good time for me to just step out and take that time with the family, because, you know, I don't keep normal hours. I could be working at 2 in the morning sometimes, you know, if something's gone horribly wrong. Doesn't happen all that often. But yeah, I mean, it was just reinvigorating, gave me that energy for the back end of the day. Saw the family, know they're all good. Everybody's happy today, which is great. Wife's happy, and you know, she was really happy for the surprise because until I was coming home, she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're home," which is great. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just waffling now. I'm gonna head off to the gym, smash that one out. Love a good session I got. Maybe one day I'll take you guys on one of those when I sort of get the confidence to sort of have a camera in the gym with me. Super cringy. But yeah, then we'll do that at some point. I hope, maybe, we'll see. Anyways, check you all next time. Bye.